It's time for our next matchup of the day. W7M Esports, rather, and Gaimin Gladiators going up against one another. It's the second time today that we're going to see Gaimin Gladiators. The first time that W7M will be on your screen. They were the best team in Brazil during Stage 2. One of the best teams in Brazil all year.
Yes.
Finished second at Copa Elite 6, 2-phase clan, and they go up against the second best team in APAC South, who had a run-in against the Wolves earlier today. Unfortunately for the Gaimin Gladiators, they did not come out ahead, but they did push to overtime. All 15 rounds needed, and a point picked up for Gaimin Gladiators.
They did. You can almost argue that this is actually W7M's first proper international LAN event because they didn't play LAN in Charlotte. They played in Mexico City, so bit of an online situation there, and I'm very curious to see how they're going to do because they looked extremely strong regardless of those situations they had previously in Charlotte, and now they're all here in full force.
Yeah, it was a really unfortunate set of circumstances that they ran afoul of some visa problems, were not able to physically make it to Charlotte, but instead they competed in Mexico City. And none of those teams that were present in Mexico City seemed to have the best results. Though Team 1 did make it into the playoffs, and was it 3 of their players were successful in making it on time with visas to play in Charlotte. Still, they got bounced in the quarterfinals. I've been very curious to see what W7M is capable of doing because they are such a strong team in their own region. But due to the issues in Charlotte, I don't think we got a really good look at how they stack up against international competition. Going up against the unparalleled aggression of APAC South teams is going to make for a fascinating first show. Gaimin Gladiators got their very first international match underway and out of the way earlier in the day. W7M now getting their chance. So these two teams still don't have a ton of international LAN experience. That said, Nick, the maps are ready. Where are we going to go? Both the streams were just on border. We saw a bunch of Oregon earlier today, and as you can see, oh, look at that. We're going to Kafe Dostoevsky.
That we are. Interesting choice because this is a map where you're kind of like stuck in compartmentalized in boxes and corners. And, well, W7M actually, despite being a Latin team, and yes, they are aggressive, they actually play very structured, right? They do like their strong areas, their corners, etc. They love maps like Oregon as well for that same reason. And Gaimin Gladiators, I actually haven't seen them play Kafe much myself personally, so I haven't really prepped this particular map for them, so I'm curious to see how they're going to play it out, if they're going to be running towards W7M or sitting back like we expect them to be.
Well, the good news, Nick, is that we don't have to wait too long because the matchup is ready.
Love that.
So again, we're making up for lost time. We appreciate all of your patience so far today. We're going to get underway with Kafe Dostoevsky in just 1 second. W7M will be playing 2 matches back-to-back on this stream. Once they are done with Gaimin Gladiators, Oxygen awaits them. Let's get underway. We asked the poll, who do you think is going to win? And wow, okay, the community thinks that it's going to be Gaimin Gladiators. 59%, Nick, said that Gaimin Gladiators would win. I don't know. I don't know what you folks have been watching, but I gotta say,
damn,
W7M are probably the favorites. Starting on defense, Gaimin Gladiators. In terms of map pool, you said, oh, I haven't seen them play Kafe all that much. That's because they've only played it once in the last 3-4 months.
That would make sense.
And they lost it. So again, Gaimin Gladiators are going to a map that they don't really know all that well. In their matchup against Wolves earlier today, Wolves took them to Oregon, or rather they took each other to Oregon, I suppose.
Yeah.
And Wolves did prevail by a score of 8-7. But we had not seen Gaimin Gladiators go to Oregon at all in the last 3 months. Kafe, only one time. Operator bands coming in, and well, W7M doesn't like Finka being on the board, so they will say goodbye to the Russian operator on her home soil of Kafe Dostoevsky, who will join on defense. Mira, a very common ban here.
Yeah, very hard operator to deal with when you're on the attacking side because all those long lines of sight, you can't quite deal with the mirror windows. Not at all, so you need smoke grenades, etc. It becomes messy. Valkyrie, same kind of story. Because of the verticality that Kafe offers on every single floor besides the first floor of the map, it's an operator that you really don't want to deal with because you can't quite play IQ throughout these rounds, as IQ doesn't bring any other utility but being able to find those Valkyrie cameras. So the finger ban finally happened. It's not something that we saw much of today, but we all kind of expected it. So finger being target banned on Kafe of all maps is a bit surprising because it's one of the few maps where the finger entry doesn't really affect the map that badly because everyone's kind of within the same couple of meters within each other on the attacking side, because as we know, on a top 4 attacker we are right now, you gotta drop down the red hatches and all of a sudden you're in Cigar and you're all there. Whether you're finger or not doesn't make a huge difference, but of course the LMG, the nades, the gun 6 and that heal with the Adrenal Surge is always going to be an annoyance when you're against it, so that is all good. But up top is where we start. It's going to be GG on defense and W7M on the attack. And already now we're seeing a very aggressive rotate be made from Freezer into Piano. And I'm curious if a keep a barrier will be put down on the couch, and it looked like it was at the last second. So I can deny that line of sight, and there it is. Basically a mobile castle barricade, if you will, while you also have rigs on the castle itself, further denying these angles, putting those castle barricades on both the Piano windows, the double door. So a big Piano hold here.
Which is unsurprising with the Azami, as was mentioned, right?
Yes.
Azami allows you to set up not just a mobile castle barricade, but almost like a mobile cover all over the map, anywhere you want. It is extremely flexible, and you will continue to generate those Kiba barriers as time goes on. It's not uncommon to see teams burrow down inside a Piano with both the castle barricades and the Kiba barriers as a way to soak up all that utility, to soak up those explosives, to make you waste time, and to also just be able to peek behind them, because while you might know that somebody is behind one of those Kiba barriers, you have to deal with them peeking first and having that same level of information.
You do. Do you see a cocktail party with 3 members of W7M on the rappel right now? Bit of an unorthodox attack, actually, from what we see typically, but it seems to work out to great effect because of how heavy Piano presence is there from Gaimin Gladiators. Of course, no devs have fallen yet on this battlefield, but we got GD in here with the Terror drones. Can do a ton of damage because there's no mutant play around the skylight, so these drones can get on in. Oh, they get shut down though. Doesn't get anything with the first one. We got 3 more.
Ape taking some damage is the real story at the moment, as that's really all that's happened. Explosion goes out. Nothing else is really found other than that grenade that gets dropped by Herds on the Nook. Again, this Nook play on Rappel is a bit interesting and a bit entertaining to say, because typically you want that Nook going into an area where, well, you'll take good use of that cloak. First kills goes to Kaze as down goes Tolji, and Rix goes for the jump out, but it's not properly advised. Kaze down below and tossing out a grenade. That's the last to go out. Still 2 remaining in the hands of Volps. So plenty of explosive potential. 2 picks, by the way, for W7M. Puts them in a very pretty spot with a minute left in the round.
This is kind of a story of Gaimin Gladiators putting so much effort into one side of the map that the other half is so vulnerable. Hertz finds that 3rd kill, now the Rappel comes in, Skylight cover is there, we can start planning down that case, and no one from Gaimin Gladiators can really walk up and do anything because they got everything covered. There are 5 guns in your direction and an 8 on the floor. That's going to be tough.
AP in a tough position, and he gets shut down by KZ. That leaves Hoven down below. Hoven was statistically the lowest rated performer for his team, but time to pad some stats, if not outright win the round. On White Stairs, 1 kill found thus far, but Hoven will dance around it. Time continuing to tick away at the halfway point. Soaking up some damage from JV, and that'll be all she wrote. W7M starts out with a very formidable beginning on round number 1. Good objective play and plenty of brutality.
I mean, they read the situation so well. They saw how heavy the setup was. They said, you know what, why deal with Piano when we can just go cocktail? There's 1 castle barricade versus 3 castle barricades and 3 keeper barriers on Piano. It makes it so much easier. And the thing about W7M is that they have that latent explosiveness. They have really good gunplay, really good gun skill, but they play very slow-paced compared to teams like NIP, and they play very much more structured. On their attacking side, they will evaluate what the issue is and then problem solve it. On the defensive side, they love playing much more like European teams, where they like to find a very strong area of the map and then bunker up, play the Omai, play the Jaeger, etc. So it's very fun to watch as a spectator, in my opinion, W7M, because they bring the Latin explosiveness with the European North American strategy at a very high skill level. Also means, of course, they're quite flexible on Kafe, because you can play Kafe both very aggressively and front-forward heavy, but also play quite passively and turtle around if that's what you want to do. So I do think this map for W7M makes a lot of sense given their playstyle.
5 seconds left.
Gaimin Gladiators did not like the cocktail setup upstairs, so they're going to run down below and seek shelter inside of Reading. Gone is the Azami, so no mobile cover as you described it up above. Instead, It's going to be more of an easy to roam with setup, and that's going to be led off likely by Tolji's pick of Oryx. So up above, still playing inside a piano and cocktail. He's got AP with him at any point to help out.
True.
True.
Sitting still for now.
A pulse as well on the board. We haven't seen many pulse. I haven't been able to watch every moment of every game because we've been casting all of it. But I'm sure we have seen a pulse, but maybe we haven't. I don't know. I haven't seen every single game.
We certainly haven't seen many.
We certainly. Sure. I don't think you and I have seen a pulse in our games
yet
not so far. So, an operator whose gadget is able to gain intel very effectively and is also mobile. Not with the greatest a gun in hand, but that can reach up to 9 meters, which from below can give some good information on where the attack might be coming from. Hoven could have used that information a second earlier as he's taken out by herds. Still above. Hearing some gunfire. In go the smokes, in go the candelas. Down goes Joe, but AP is there. Volps is no more. KZ shuts down, and now suddenly it's a 4v2 with Rix and Tolji to hang on. Herd's cooking a nade. And there it goes, maybe clearing out some barbed wire or something at the bottom of the stairs. Rix decides to tussle with the Nomad of JV, not exactly ideal. Would have won it if the fire rate on the UMP had been higher. Down goes Rix for the count. Tolji looking for his first kill. He'll find it. A second to be there, but no, JV says not this time. 2-0 for W7M.
So, actually, Rix in that round at Pulse wasn't running a C4. He was running that piece of barbed wire instead, and the issue with playing that like Kafe, or not the issue, but one of the key factors that those staircases are so lethal for attackers to sneak up on, especially if you don't play the Melusi for the Banshees. So you're actually finding yourselves with a Pulse below who can give information, but he can't quite act upon it as aggressively as he would like to because he's forced onto the barbed wire because no one else was bringing it in that round, and they thought they needed it so badly. But the thing is, W7M again, utilizing their rappels on the cocktail window as their entry point for both the kill and the actual your way into the map itself, and because of the lack of C4 and Riggs, he couldn't respond back, couldn't get that trade, and the UMP itself as a weapon is so weak that when it came to the gunfight, he lost that as well. One of the downsides of playing Pulse is that you have to be on the scanner to gain value, and of course you gotta get off the scanner to either shoot or use your utility. That's why Valkyrie is usually preferred operator to play, but Gaimin Gladiators himself has spent that operator out. You could of course bring the Echo, but in a similar fashion. You can't act upon your intel yourself because you're still going to be fighting that for your teammates. There's no real winning in this scenario. So we're gonna go blind this round instead. No info operators on the board for the defenders, but instead we have brought out Joe on the Melusi to shut down those staircase roamers if that were to be a problem. Round 3 so far, W7M looking very comfortable in the driver's seat.
Absolutely comfortable is correct. 3 kills for Gaimin Gladiators through those first 2 rounds. That is not what you need. And after we had sung the praises of this GG team against Wolves, well, they're going to have to do a little bit more work, and maybe they find it. Joe with the MP5 in hand shuts down KZ. That's the first pick, and Joe trades out some of his HP for it. Down goes the Jackal. No smokes available for them now on attack at all. And also, if there's any off-site presence that you might be concerned with, your best operator to track them down is no more. On top of it also just being a good gun and a good player for W7M.
Also, maybe not worth mentioning right now, but it also is your secondary soft destruction, vertically speaking, because Jackal normally has a secondary shotgun in his pocket. So right now, with Jackal being gone, you just have Volps on the station who's gonna hammering around. JDN on the ace does have the 3 soft breach charges, probably gonna get utilized as well, I imagine. So it's gonna slow you down a tiny bit on this vertical, but of course, just being 1 gun less is always the biggest part of the damage, because 1 less angle you can hold, 1 less gun to get kills, and 1 less player on the tail, because Casey now has to watch drones and has to watch the flanks, while you also have a Nomad to do the exact same job. That's why she was picked up. Volps does a bit of damage onto Riggs to Bakery from that prep vertical angle, and there we go, JDN using his secondary software utility, which is why you don't run 4 Claymores, by the way. This is a reference for earlier. This is lovely to see.
I mean, you can just call out Wolves and Oxygen as much as you'd like, but it still doesn't change the fact that it seemed to be an effective strategy, especially for cutting off some of those flanks. Keep in mind, before Nomad and Gridlock existed, Claymores were your best defense against flanks, other than your own set of eyes. W7M lost the first player, but they make up for it a minute later before AP takes down Herds. GDN still sitting inside a freezer, watching Hoven. They come back in. Down goes Rix. torn away at. Now it's GDN to find the Azami, but Hoven ends up winning that fight. Volps on brown stairs, sledgehammer out. Is Rix retrievable? Doesn't really matter. Even if Rix is retrievable, or is not retrievable, still an advantage for Gaimin Gladiators. They've all been damaged. So is Volps. So are we all. We're all a little bit damaged, aren't we, Nick?
Oh my god.
If you're Gaimin Gladiators, you've got intel. You got a kill on a JV92. It's Volps in a 1v3. First round for Gaimin Gladiators looking pretty good, pretty fine. Volps is trapped right now. Ping's coming in, 10 seconds left. Just delaying the inevitable, it would seem. Down goes Hoven. But Volps knows that's it. Nothing to be found. Gaimin Gladiators win on the time. Excellently well played, rebuffing the advances, getting the very first pick, and then after that, as W7M looked to drop into Freezer, control that back part of the bomb site, they got flushed out by the Gladiators.
It really came down to those 1-versus-1 positions, really, and Gaimin Gladiators winning those, and actually, despite winning that round, we're going to be going for a tactical timeout from Gaimin Gladiators themselves to say, we got to talk about this for a second. I think it makes sense, right? You want to call this tactical timeout earlier rather than later. Perhaps talk about your bomb side priority. Try and get at least one more defensive side round. Perhaps two, ideally to go in a 3-3.5. And then perhaps you might discuss some of your attack going forward. But right now, they got to figure out the issues are. Talk about them and then hopefully try and fix them for the rounds to come, because you cannot only get a single defensive win on Kafe. That is not going to be good enough against W7M.
No, absolutely correct. It's honestly been a rough and tumble Kafe so far. When you look at these two teams and the way that they've played it out, we called out Gaimin Gladiators for the fact that they were only able to get 3 kills through those first 2 rounds. They've changed it up for us now. A much better performance. So go back upstairs to Cocktail, by the way, for their 4th defense.
Bit of a change here, though. Both the Warden and the T-Bird coming out. Thunderbird on the board. Gonna get some healing for that poke damage you might suffer from the side of both the Terror Jones, the grenades, etc. And Warden, of course, in case there's a Ying or any smokes or flashbangs, because last time W7M they had Flores on the skyline just tossing down flashbangs left and right. The Warden now on Hoven can now be immune to that with the gadget, as those glasses make sure unable to be flashbanged, and you can see through smoke, so that was an issue as well. But W7M right now hovering a way different lineup than the first time they attacked this top 4 bomb side. They're not on the Flores. They're actually, so far, hovering the Hibana, which might be a direct counterplay to the Asami, as those X-Cairo pellets can indeed take out the keeper barriers, which might just be their answer if they were to go on the piano side.
Trying to think of the similarities that we saw for W7M on the very first attack and how this is going to play out versus the way that Gaimin Gladiators will approach this. The Finkaban is going to be something that looms in the minds of both of these players, or both these players, and both teams. It was banned out by W7M. General consensus is that when you ban an operator on attack, it's because you know how to deal with it not being in play. When you go on to defense, the operator that you banned is also not going to be there, and you know how to deal with that. It's not like W7M are going to be hurt by the fact there's no Finka or Mira on the board. Those were their choices, so they came in expecting that. Tolji gets a little bit too close, and oh, KZ dodging the C4 as that gunfight erupts in front of our very eyes. That's a bit of a bold move for Tolji. Underneath the skylight, you could have very easily been picked off if somebody was up top looking down on you.
He was legging it, and the T-Bird stations, now the Kona stations, if you will, they're going to heal Tolji back up to full HP. Nate goes out, holds a bit of damage as well, but these keeper barriers, they're falling, and they're falling fast.
KZ still right now inside a cigar shop, inches away from the Humidor, and inches away from Joe, but Gaimin Gladiators with 2 big picks add another to the tally for Joe. Suddenly it's Herds and GDN in a 2v4. The timeout for the Gaimin Gladiators working out quite effectively. Oh, it's a nice shot from Tolji on the Herds. And it's GDN on the skylight. Does a death drop lay in GDN's future? That is the question. No, think about it a little bit. You got 90 seconds to go. You could effectively pause at this point, unless you think that a 1v4 is doable against this team. I'm going to be honest with you. I would argue that you could get my ranked stack in this server, and on Kafe, GDN would probably lose a 1v4 just because of the way that this map plays out and the way that you can be patient with these angles. See this lineup and this maze of the Kiba barriers in front. Oh, a nice shot from Tolji as he gets pinged through And look at that. Through the soft wall. Excellent stuff. Gaimin Gladiators pick up their second round, and we got a tie game.
Could be a coincidence, of course, but it looks like after that timeout they said, let's just swing them. Just take the fight to them, because every single window repel, every single entry point, it was Gaimin Gladiators running forward and aggressing forward into W7M and just winning those ones. And that basically was the entire round over in the span of 10 seconds as 4 kills just went through.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
Well, an impressive hold upstairs, and clearly whatever they discussed actually worked out for them. And now it'll be the same bomb site that was played in round number 2. So far, what we see from Gaimin Gladiators is the same site rotation through this second half of their defense.
Yep.
They went to Cocktail, they went to Reading, they went to Kitchen. They went to Cocktail again, now they're going back to Reading. Kitchen is the last bomb site for the perfect rotation to come in. If you recall, that was the bomb site that they won before the timeout was popped.
Wouldn't you almost argue that a perfect rotation would include all 4 bomb sites?
No, I would never argue that.
You would never argue that?
Never, not in a million years.
That's boring, Parker.
I
Perfect
apologize.
rotation
I'm
involves
sorry
all
that
bomb
I'm sorry that I'm
sites.
not here for your amusement.
You always amuse me, that's the thing. So we're all winners today.
Oh.
And so shall we be the next following 2 days. As you
Oh,
will
okay.
be here with us for those days as well.
Thank you so much. I'm glad.
But thankfully you're gone after that, because you're not here for playoffs.
Oh, thankfully. Thankfully, I'm gone.
Thankfully he's gone.
I just like to let you know that these words are hurtful.
I'm sorry. Not really, though. We do see a bit of a defensive setup here as the kite claws have been brought out from below, and Riggs now is able to bring out the C4, and not just one. Look at the right-hand side. Hoven C4, Abe C4, Riggs C4. They have 4 C4s on the defensive half, clearly favoring the verticality. They want W7M to attack the top floor and then utilize those explosive C4s to get at least 1 or 2 kills, and that's going to be their entire win condition. Riggs getting very aggressive here with a risk of losing the pulse scanner that would really be bad for them.
Rix has not been able to find a kill just yet. Herd's taking some damage earlier on, the first minute off the board. And what was a pretty ferocious tempo through these first 2 rounds has slowed down. We are in the mucky muck right now. It's a quagmire. Whatever you'd like to call it. Either way, both of these teams nowhere near showing the same level of energy and that same pace that we had seen previously. We noted this in the earlier Gaimin Gladiators game, that they're used to playing so aggressive. Almost balls to the walls, I believe, is the official definition.
Sure.
The clinical definition. But that's not been the case. They've been much more patient. And honestly, it stacks up really well against Wolves, and in this round, it rewards them with the very first kill. Hoven taking down Volps. That's with Herds at lower HP as well. JV just missing out on a Nitro Cell that goes off. Gets kill on Tolji as he rotates after finishing off what little was left with Herds. But Hoven was looking the wrong way, and KZ marches right in. Suddenly, W7M has flipped this round on its head, and they stand tall in a 3v2. 1 minute to go. Nitro Cell goes off. If AP pulls, he might be able to catch one of the players from W7M on the top floor. Have they surrendered control of the site yet? On the Gaimin Gladiators side, no, they haven't. But Rix was over by the fireplace, and he'll have a long sight over towards White Stairs where KZ is playing. Look at this angle. Out goes in the concussive blast, and Rix pitter-patters away, but you are going to lose that fight. You'll lose that fight 9 times out of 10. KZ dusted off. It's AP to clutch out in a 1v2 as a drop comes in by Reading Door, and Nomad wins it. AP is no more. JV92 gives the lead back to W7M.
That it does. And again, the C4s didn't do anything that round, and not just that, but once W7M pushed that wide hallway on top floor, it all fell apart because no one was really covering from Gaimin Gladiators once their one member holding it down fell. That was Tolji on the White Stairs himself, and that really was the final nail in that coffin, because once you lose the top floor on Reading bomb site, you really don't have a leg to stand on as the bomb site is so vulnerable from all the angles above, the White Stairs walk down, etc. And then you just have significantly worse guns than your opponent as well to add insult to injury. But this, arguably, is a perfect bomb site rotation, because Gaimin Gladiators shows us all 4 bomb sites, and sure, they've only won 2 so far, can make it a 3rd, but they do show us every single possibility, every single option, which in my opinion, Parker, is the perfect rotation.
Nick, doesn't a rotation technically involve all 4 bomb sites?
Yes.
Wow, and it looks like we have it.
Yeah.
Isn't that
amazing?
Isn't that crazy?
I think it's great.
Technically, it's a perfect rotation because it started on Kitchen all the way back around number 3. It's actually 4 different bomb sites, back to back to back to back. Wild
Wow.
stuff, isn't it?
Wow.
Locate a bomb and defuse.
Wild stuff.
Would you look at that?
Mining and dining. It can't be a wrong bomb site if it rhymes. I mean, technically, kitchen and kitchen also rhymes, but I
Kitchen
think
and
that
kitchen.
I feel like that destroys the point entirely, right?
Yeah. I don't think you can rhyme a word with its own word regardless. I think there's like a law that applies there.
I'll tell that to Lil Wayne.
Yeah, tell that to Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne rhymes the same word with the same word all the time. Okay?
That is true.
Kids love
There
it.
are exceptions to every rule, of course. Slow start again on the 6th round. Both teams kind of minding their own business right now. And ooh, surveying the land. Nate does a bit of damage. Casey takes a bit as well in this gunfight here with the Osa shield on the new balcony. That's going to provide you some Overwatch here on this particular area of the map. And of course, you can always pick up that window again if you need it, a Talon shield, if you will, later on. Good drone work happening right now, but it's being shut down by Gaimin Gladiators. Half the drones off the board in just the first minute of this round, meaning W7M are not going to have as much information to work with as they would like to, and much less than they had in the previous rounds as well. They're all in very passive positions. Everyone's on the rappels or the sky up top, and they're waiting for Gaimin Gladiators to make the first move, but they do just that. He gets the first, he jumps out and gets the second, and that's going to be a great opening for them.
The look on the faces of W7M tells the whole story as Joe gets in on the fun as well. A huge kill from Hoven. Remarkably well done, and all they sacrificed was Joe in the process. Information will now go in the hands of Dokkaebi as they capture that phone of the Azami from above. Better shoot out your cams, as now that information is also W7M. So W7M will trail 2v4. A little over a minute to go. You'll have to be very precise with this drone work, because while one of them is droning, you'll have 5 to 10 seconds at absolute most to work off of that information for your other teammate. Whether it's JV droning for GDN or GDN droning for JV, it doesn't matter. They have to be quick to the punch. Find these 4 remaining players of Gaimin Gladiators, and there you go. Ape is shut down by GDN. He doesn't even need to ADS. Both players from W7M shoulder to shoulder by reading. Hoven off site. Could he get back towards the bomb site a little bit faster? Undiscovered. Not undiscovered, not any longer. The jig is up. He does some damage to JV, who tries to fire back. Cannot be successful in that regard. So JV instead turns the attention to Rix, but the AA-12 flattens him out. GDN vaults in, and it's a double piece for the Maestro. And we have a tied first half. Gaimin Gladiators started a little slow. They used their timeout. Maybe it was worth it. Both teams take 3 rounds, as now W7M moves to defense and Gaimin Gladiators moves to attack.
Honestly, I think it's worth it. Getting a 3-3 half rather than going down like, I don't know, like 5-1. Now you got room to work with. It's an even series. And of course, now you get the side swap, which means Gaimin Gladiators have to go on the attack. Normally, for most teams, this is where the trouble comes, because it is difficult to pick apart Kafe as a map because of how boxed in you are on the attacking side. On this top floor attack and reading attack as well in particular, once you drop the red hatch or rappel in a window, you're normally under fire or under pressure the entirety of the round until you either win the round or you lose the round. So I think it's very important that you access the map layout like W7M did, and they did that by utilizing their rappels and all their drones. They laid out exactly what they wanted to do, then they did just that. Because again, as I mentioned, once you're in Cigar, once you're in Piano, you don't have a lot of mental freedom to think clearly about the next step, as you're always under so much pressure. The attacker repick already now telling us a bit of a story. The Lion and the Ying are execution-based operators. This could be a Lion charge, Yin Candela, rush. This could be a way to try and compartmentalize the Piano room, where a guy stuck in a corner, pop the Lion scan, try and grenade him out. Couple of options here. Either way, you got tons of utility, smokes, flashbangs, and 6 grenades available to them.
I like this lineup. I like this lineup quite a lot. It was tried all the way back. There's that Oregon match with the rush down in the basement, where you see mass chaos being brought on in. That's a mute jammer that had stopped Hoven's advance up white stairs.
Oh, am I catching me?
They might do so indeed. Look at this. There's some information. There's some information and a capitalization, but not more than that. Volps swings on the white stairs, and immediately Lion will use his scanner to shut down all of the defenders from moving on. Still a successful entry. I would say the mute is down, but Hoven, 7-5, top-rated player on his team right now. Had a bit of a lackluster performance against Wolves, has certainly shown up here maybe trading out your statistical best performer for one of the worst performers on W7M, whose utility has already been put down, is not the most worthwhile of trades.
It's not. He also had 2 nades in his pocket. We get to use those. This nade hour might do a little bit of damage. Does just that, about 30 off the top there of JV. Now we get smokes coming out, Candelas as well. Do they repel in the window or not? That's the question right now, because JV is in a decent position to shut this down if they do.
I don't even think he got hit by a single one of those Candelas. No. Tossed on out, and then another EE1D used off. There's still one piece of Lion remaining. Just a small scan, that's all. You want that paralysis to be as effective as is humanly possible. So time it up with those Candelas, of which there are still 3 remaining from Tolji. In addition, there's 2 smokes, too, to cause maximum confusion. Down below, Ape tussles with JV92, who now moves away from one of the nades that's thrown towards his feet. The castle over on that new balcony referred to as heaven. Out goes the smokes, and a jump out is absolutely possible. GDN blinded by the light. Now it's JV's turn there. 2 more Candelas follow. Instead, you have to watch multiple angles. Candelas go in perfectly. 2 go in. More bullets traded out, and the Lion will swing on in. JV sees a drop. Here's a drop. Maybe Joe the first kill. GDN fires back. There's JV in that rat corner, still putting in good work. And suddenly the brawl that ends up working in favor of W7M is over very, very quickly. They regain the lead yet again. GG. They've not been able to lead so far here on Kafe.
2 things. JV from W7M played that beautifully. Never played too far forward, never played too passive. Always in position to do something once that execute came through. And most importantly, he stayed alive throughout the entirety of that round, despite being hit from the window, 2 grenades, verticality, etc. Second part is that Gaimin Gladiators didn't really have a clear way to deal with someone like JV in that rat's position in that corner, because they had no more nades below, they didn't have a buck or anything else to utilize. They had the Candela ashore, but they couldn't get into the building and couldn't clear out that particular player in that particular position. That is kind of the big difference from W7M's attack and Gaimin Gladiators. The execute and thinking through that process. Now, we're going to go through a different kind of approach. We're going from top all the way downstairs to kitchen and kitchen, and that's going to force a different, very different in fact lineup from Gaimin Gladiators. Jackal, Sledge, Gridlock for a second, now Iana, Zero, and the Buck. Clearly, we're going to go for roam clear, right? The Jackal, you're going to go top floor, look for feetsies. Then you got the Buck and the Sledge verticality. You got the Zero with that secondary Heartbeats can opener for the hatches, and Iana is a great gun and great intel operator as well. So aggression, man advantage, roam clear is the name of the game, seemingly from this attacking lineup.
Not to knock you off your point, but I really cannot tell you how much I hate that you say feetsies. It drives me insane.
It's a cuter wordplay of feet. Feetsies.
Feet are not cute. Feet are horrific. They are gross, and you do not need to make it sound cute. They look for footprints, not feet. None of these operators are barefoot.
Not yet. I'm sure at some point we're gonna...
Don't say that. I wouldn't have been surprised if they make a barefoot skin for Oryx.
And Kavera, maybe. Like the sign up.
Don't put that. No. You've just created a whole new subculture of fan fiction. We don't need that. I can already see Shibs, who's back on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah,
welcome back, Shibs. I can already see him sweating over a barefoot Yana skin. The content's right there, Shibs. If you want to go for it,
oh my God,
please do so. But seriously, welcome back. Either way, 1 minute off of the board. W7M have led or been tied, as we talked about at the tail end of the previous round. All the way down below. That's where Gaimin Gladiators needs to go, and they've got a couple layers to cut through first. Jackal was knocked off early for W7M when they attacked the kitchen bomb site before. You can now see what damage can be done by having the Spanish operator still available for the attackers as we hit the halfway point.
It was a slow round, I will say, halfway point with no one there. I take it back. There we go. First, falls. It's JV with trade back by Volz instantaneously. And another one from KC finds another. Looks for a third. He gets it as well. Now, that's not going to bode well for Gaimin Gladiators. There's 1 man left. Is Hoven up above in a 1v4. He has no help. He has a lot of time, however, to make this work.
I don't want to say unwinnable, but it's very close. Hoven's been the player we've been singing the praises of so far through this matchup on the side of Gaimin Gladiators, and for good reason, but these are all impactless kills unless he can turn the entire fortune of the round. W7M are used to playing a stifling, smothering style of defense. That doesn't really seem to be that present right now. They're playing more of a bunker style on this bomb site. Let the Jackal come to you. And that seems to be okay. It's working out. Oh, no. Hoven is so close. He gets shot at from multiple angles, and it's Herds on the floor to be the final player to defeat any of the Gaimin Gladiators in that round. 5-3, the scoreline. W7M is marching their way towards their first victory of the day.
That they are. I like that little bit of a bait there for the alibi in the corner where his teammates are shooting towards Hoven to like distract him from the whereabouts of the alibi. Then you stand up, get that freebie as well. Small things that just are nice to watch when teammates they use their communication to help one another instead of just like taking that single-handed 1 versus 1 50-50 gunfight. Those small things of synergy is something that points out a team with great communication, great synergy in playing together, and good at finding, problem solving what can be a pretty normal situation, just to further even your odds of winning that situation even better. That's going to bring us to reading bomb side. We've seen this a couple of times, twice so far. It was successfully attacked by W7M. Both times it was shown when Gaimin Gladiators was defending it, and now they get to defend it themselves to show if they can keep it a perfect win ratio for them, or if they will falter, just like Gaimin Gladiators did themselves. Very passive hold upstairs, all 5 walls being reinforced here. 2 on Freezer, 2 on what we call Vodka and G2, and the single wall in between that as well. Damage being put down, and we're again speaking to that verticality. We got 2 C4, 1 from Herds, 1 from GDN. Those confused in that particular position. You got Mozzie denying the drones, you got the Mute denying the walls. So you really have everything you want to see here. And now once again, the attackers of Gaimin Gladiators, they have to problem solve how they want to get past this line of defense, because they can't just walk on in with all these walls being reinforced around them with jammers to protect them. It's just not that simple.
Nothing ever is it?
Of course not.
I want to know what's going on in the other match, by the way, because we keep hearing this. Yeah, it sounds very exciting. The players are screaming an awful lot, and there it is again. There it is again.
Oh.
Ooh, we have a score update for you, but you're going to have to go look for yourself, as it might be outdated. I think we're on a delay, so you'd have to go take a look all on your lonesome. Mozzie on the board, by the way, for W7M, the flex pick coming in for Herds. Be able to deny some of this information. With how we've seen Gaimin Gladiators droning, that might be a bit of a problem. One of the drones that have been caught was used upstairs inside a piano. It will be known more as Gaimin Gladiators destroy it. The sledge on the top floor is ripe for a nitro cell, and there's 2 of them. One exposed, or one expensed by the Mozzie, leaving GDN with yet the other. Could go up at any time. Now they've done a lot of soft destruction on the top floor. It looks like Gaimin Gladiators have decided at the halfway point of the round to move somewhere else. And Gaimin Gladiators swing on the 2 defenders at JV and Herds and win both of the duels. W7M wanting that match point, Nick, but it is eluding them for now.
It is. There's a recall whiff, unfortunately, from Hertz. And again, this 3 versus 5 heavily favors the attackers, but with these jammers in the walls, going to force out these grenades, going to take and soak up all that utility, and there's still a chance for W7M to bring it back into this round. They would need to find an isolated member here, like Diana, and win this individual gunfight, but right now, bit of a whiff from KC, doesn't find any damage on that side at all. With a minute to go, anything can still happen.
Ape down below, looking for something, and no! That wasn't him, though. That was Joe killing Rix. Those are huge mistakes, and it might even open the door for W7M, but Ape says no. On to KZ. They are no more. GDN and Volps. GDN finding himself in these clutch or kick scenarios quite frequently because of the role that he plays on. Much more sheltered minutes. Playing a safer style. Could be the hero of this round. 25 seconds remaining, but GDN getting back to the bomb site, stopped by an air jab. Tolji taken out by Volps. The dual SMG-11s will be so critical, and down goes Ape. Still sitting on the diffuser is Joe. A toxic canister goes out. GDN cannot duel against Joe, but the position inside of Dining has been given away. Volps has soft walls to straight through a miraculous shot onto Hoven. Joe will back away. Volps for match point if he can conceal himself and maybe go for the long arm, but he's just playing off of time right now. No real information. Assumes that he's near the wall, but this should be an easy clutch out for Joe, and it is indeed. Well played by Gaimin Gladiators. Good patience. And a near comeback for W7M that just falls short at the end.
Very close indeed. Those SMG-11s are so lethal. I mean, the wallbang's coming through as well. It's ridiculous to almost close out that round, but it is Gaimin Gladiators finding it in the end. 5-4 round 10. The good thing is with W7M, they can just go through these bomb sites and try out anything and see what sticks. They went to reading, did not work. Now they're going back to bar up above, and that worked well for them that last time around. As Gaimin Gladiators couldn't quite find the openings that they needed. They weren't utilizing those repels, arguably, in the right fashion, and they didn't have enough explosive economy like grenades and stuff from below to deal with those positions. W7M, of course, setting up for Piano because you have to. Piano is so hard to defend. You have to invest all this utility. Even if your opponent doesn't go there, it's one of those better safe than sorry, because if this area is naked, they will definitely go Piano, and it'll be impossible to hold as a defending team.
10 seconds to go.
What's wrong if the area is naked?
You gotta be covered up.
5 seconds.
Are you a never nude?
I'm a never nude.
Are you a never nude?
I'm a never
You
nude.
even shower in your clothes? Is that the case?
I always keep my socks on. Always.
It's weird. It's weird behavior.
You also clean them while also showering, so it's like it's a 2-for-1. It's like laundry and shower. You get clean, your clothes get clean.
I hope you understand that regular soap that we use to clean our bodies is not the same soap that you should be using
It's
to clean
not?
your everyday clothes. No, you should be using detergent.
Well,
Anywho.
That doesn't sound healthy.
Critical round for Gaimin Gladiators, who have been without their tactical timeout since round number 3. So any of this comeback that occurs will be done without the parachute, as we refer to it as, without that ability to slow themselves mid-fall. W7M were a single kill away from match point on the previous round. A hell of a comeback from both Volps and GDN, but it ultimately fell just short. W7M, as we talked about in the previous round, too, are very good on defense. They can be quite stifling and very aggressive, but they haven't been playing that same style. They're maneuvering around a lot, which is forcing Gaimin Gladiators to continue to drone non-stop. And drone not well enough for Hoven, by the way, who was the standout performer, very narrowly getting close to being 9-9. All of that KDR that he built up just disappearing. Not good. Not good.
It is slowing a bit down here from Gaimin Gladiators. Not finding the kills at the moment. Retaro drone goes out. Gonna do a little bit of destruction here on top of that shield, but the jammer says no. You're gonna be stopped dead in your tracks. Shield stays alive. Tweet is there to protect it. And you see Gaimin Gladiators, they have to clear out this position. They got 6 flashbangs, so plenty of utility, but none being used yet. But here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flashbangs are coming out in full force, but the shield stays alive for now. And this is what I mean. Once you drop into the cigar, you are always under pressure, always under fire.
Look at KZ. Look at how aggressive he's going to get off of the shield, picking up 2 kills before Joe can stop him. Just like that, W7M have an advantage, but the numbers now continue to fall. That was a nice play by the Zolf of Joe. Doesn't have much intel. Again, we talked about how W7M have been very good at maneuvering. Not a real opportunity for the Gaimin Gladiators to find their footing with this drone work. Tolji sacrificing himself over the railing and will now need to get up one of the stairs, which is actually one of the toughest things to do on a vertical map like this, as you're usually going to have a defender posted up somewhere watching that. I think red stairs might be free and clear, but Herds has taken up position. The deployable shield inside a piano. Looking the wrong way. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no! Herd's good enough for 1. The second is there as well, but it might be a joint effort as Tolji twists over by Cigar. Takes out JV92, but Herds has the insurance policy, and it's match point for W7M.
That it is. They're getting close. They can feel it. They can taste it. They got 1 more left in their pocket that they need to find now. Or we'll have to go all the way to overtime again, which again, we want to say and preface this, Gaimin Gladiators taking these teams to the distance, taking them potentially to overtime is a win in itself, and it's something that we did not expect. And there's a very realistic chance they could do the same here as they did against Wolves and cause a bit of an upset and stealing at least 1 point from their opponent, putting that into their own bank pocket instead. It's gonna be potentially the final round, and potentially that will be in the kitchen bomb side. Last time it was defended, W7M, they became a victor on this situation. They found the kills. They did good in that department. Successful roam game. Last time that happened, they're playing 3 people up above in reading and mining. It was Casey who found a triple kill to put himself in a great position for his team. And then the rest of the anchors could just sit back, relax, and play it safe. Echo on the board, of course, speaks that late round, slow kind of play style. Shield as well on top to play safe. Also, with the timer ticking down further and further as these rounds are getting played slower and slower, those yokai drones get even higher value. As the lower the time is, the more appreciated the echo becomes. You can stop the planter and apply even more mental pressure onto your opponent's side. Seems like it's going to be a very passive roam this time. Just a little bit quick peek up the staircase. Maybe kill a drone or two, that's it. We're not going to extend ourselves too thin here. It's going to be a turtle basement for W7M.
Again, not necessarily leaning into one of their greatest strengths as a team, but that also could just be the way the Kafe plays out. W7M could be celebrating like you might hear over our microphones as it's G2 versus Sonics right now, occurring on the other stream, still ongoing. Not a winner has been crowned. That match started before this one.
Yep.
We might actually catch up to the other stream, Nick, which would be a shocker given how far we were behind at one point with the B stream due to our length of games. Either way, kitchen defense, double kitchen defense down below, no longer kitchen bakery, as we discussed actually in the previous matchup of how we want to call it. W7M being very patient right now as a minute has gone off the clock.
Has cleared out Casey's shield, and of course his magnets are still available to him at his disposal as they recharge throughout the round, but they're not going to have as much value anymore. Sure, they'll protect him from a flashbang or grenade, but that shield is long gone, will not come back up on his feet.
Exchanging gunfire, but no real target to be found. KZ coming so close to a kill. Two lined up. He's done damage before. Jiggle peeking across. There'll be a swing on in. Herds gets one. KZ not shaken off of this position. Holding right now. Holding true. Forcing Gaimin Gladiators to reposition themselves. Both teams have lost 2 players apiece. Almost half of the server buried at this point. Ape is in the middle of the bomb site. Does not hold on to the diffuser. That's in the hands of the Nook of Joe. Not exactly. Oh, look at how close they are. Are you kidding me? You don't see him. The smoke posted up. This is something that GDN does not know. This is not ideal. Ape, GDN, you're so close. Look at this. Incredible stuff. They'll find him right now. Out goes a toxic canister, an opening created, but guess who hasn't been moved off of this position? KZ hasn't. GDN finally felled by Ape inside a freezer. Diffuser will need to be retrieved. Ape could be the one to shut down KZ, but nobody can, apparently, leaving Rix to clutch out a 1v2 with the diffuser a mile away. The last 2 defenders need to be quite patient about this. Rix can bull rush his way into the bomb site and will do just that, but again, W7M are giving him tons of lane, but Herd sees the weakness, and Rix is no more. W7M take their first matchup here in Berlin, 7-4 over Gaimin Gladiators.
And I will say, W7M's attacks on Kafe were very impressive, but Gaimin Gladiators, they found 4 rounds themselves and made them fight every single inch for it. It was not really a landslide in any direction. Well done to both teams. Of W7M, they are your victor in Kafe.
Well, the victory celebration might be short-lived because they do have another matchup coming up very quickly. Yeah. OXG will be looking for their first victory of the day. They will tussle against the Brazilian squad. Gaimin Gladiators all done. They managed a single point going to overtime earlier against Wolves. That's it for this matchup. We'll recap in just a couple minutes, but we've got a quick break for you. Sit tight. Don't go anywhere.
Paris, Mexico, Stockholm. I have so many memories. I had a front row seat to see Goga qualify G2 Esports for the final after an unbelievable performance. I'm the best team in the world. I was there in Tokoname, where Nello won a legendary round all by himself.
In the midst of a crossfire, gets one on the Diesel and a second one on Amaranth. Oh my God! Are you kidding me? The 1v4!
I was standing in that madding crowd at Montreal, stunned by the triumph of Space Station Gaming.
But it's home once again!
I was thrilled when Ninjas in Pajamas got its revenge in Paris.
Not bad.
To Alamau in a 1v3 here. He makes the swing, he finds the headshot, and not just one.
I witnessed LMAO's demonstration in Mexico when he led Team 1 to a consecration against all odds. I was fortunate to see Damwon Kia making history in front of me in Yable.
First Korean team who are progressing to the semi-finals!
But did I tell you I even saw as a nobody TSM FTX became the new world champions in Stockholm?
They have a rematch.
This is it. This is my major story. And as an official hardware partner of Rainbow Six Esports, I feel blessed to witness them for such a long time.
Well, if you didn't tune in, W7M versus Gaimin Gladiators was over relatively quickly. And despite not a terrible performance for Gaimin Gladiators, there were some issues that I think they're going to need to deal with as they go into their matches tomorrow. As for W7M, it was almost as dominant a start as we had assumed we would see from one of the best teams in the world in terms of their success in their own region.
Yeah.
There's a good reason why this team has finished atop the Brazilian standings and done so well in Copa Elite 6 for 2 stages now. And while they actually get to play their very first international event, they did not disappoint, picking up a win 7-4.
Actually, during Charlotte, a surprising amount of teams actually said that W7M felt like one of the strongest teams at the event itself, despite playing under those unfortunate circumstances due to visa issues. So now they're finally here in person, and we see them in full force playing really well. It kind of confirms people's thoughts that they were definitely one of those teams that you should feel threatened by, and we've seen that in the game 1, convincing victory 7-4 against Gaimin Gladiators, and of course, they got a match coming up shortly as well against OXG.
While we talk about this matchup, of course, there's still 2 more matches to go. One here on this stream, as you just mentioned, W7M versus OXG. On the other stream, too, we will see, I think it's the second Sonics game that's being played, but I'll check back with you. I don't have the schedule for the other stream because that's not what my focus has been. These are what the groups look like. Rogue finishing the day 2-0 and really impressive performances in both of their matchups against Xset and Damwon Kia.
Yep, only dropped 3 rounds each apiece in those games, and of course, we'll also see NIP picking up 1 victory of their own, and Xset for North America got some points on the board too later on today. That's nice.
The only NA team to win so far, I believe, is Xset. Astralis didn't have a very good day. OXG hasn't had a good day so far. Sonics, well, they just played G2, and they got a point, though. They did get a point, though, technically Sonics did.
Yeah, true, actually.
And this is what you're looking at. G2 Esports finishing the day with 5 of a possible 6 points.
Not bad.
They got a home field advantage, quite literally. We're on the same block, I think, as where their headquarters are, pretty close, too. It's like I said, you could literally crawl to their headquarters at this point, and despite that, they feel quite comfortable. FaZe Clan versus Sonics is coming up next, unfortunately, for the APAC fans, the APAC enjoyers. Sandbox Gaming having a bit of a rough start here to the groups.
Also a bit of a tough group out. You got Sonic's, FaZe, and G2. I mean, obviously, people will say Sandbox is going to be the underdog. Sure, there might be a dark horse, might cause some upsets, but realistically, I don't think most people expect them to make it out of their group. We'll see if they can turn it up on day 2 or day 3 and get some points on the board.
Group C is the group that we've been focusing on today, and if you haven't tuned in, all of the matches that we've been talking about have been right here. Wolves sitting atop the group for now. W7M has an opportunity to pass them if they prevail in their next match against OXG. If W7M wins in regulation against Oxygen, then W7M jumps up to first place overall. And then you'll really start to see the difference from the top to the bottom, because that would be W7M would have 6 points, Wolves 5, Gaimin Gladiators 1, OXG 0, which would not be ideal, but it was a close matchup between Wolves and OXG. This is Group D, Nick, unless there's something else you really want to talk
No, I mean, we can
Group
do
C.
Group D. So we haven't actually seen these games really besides like watching the other games while, eating in between casts, etc. But Furia having a fantastic time, Elevate having a fantastic time, and this group in particular I thought would be super close. It's 6.6 points, 0.0 points. I'm very surprised by this.
I mean, to most people who watch competitive international Rainbow Six, you look at how Astralis did in North America,
Yes.
you look at how Astralis did at the Charlotte Major, and you think, okay, this should be a team that makes it out of this group just based on their performance over the last 6 months.
Absolutely.
Not the case today. Only picking up 7 rounds in total, which is a pretty low number for the team that we expect to make a deep run here at this event. If they have a bad day tomorrow, they might not be officially eliminated, but as close to eliminated as you can get without it being statistically done.
It's true. There's no excuse about time zone because Astralis were smart. They actually bootcamped in Denmark, as they, of course, work with the organization Astralis. So they were one step ahead, but today, one step behind, unfortunately.
And most of the North American teams are having a great degree of difficulty. To borrow the quote of somebody else that I saw, I can't remember if it was in our group chat, I can't remember if it was on Twitter, but it seems like NA can't handle the heat, so they got to stay out of the kitchen, it would appear. A bit ironic for teams that play in the hot, hot desert of Las Vegas. Either way, that's it for this matchup. We've got one more remaining. To close out the day here on this stream, W7M will look for their second win of the day. OXG will look for their first win of the day and to redeem their performance earlier against Wolves. Sit tight. We have a break for you, and then we'll be back with our last matchup.
See you soon.